Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the November 6, 2023 Kitty Hawk Town Council meeting to order. It feels a little different, but it's 5 p.m. instead of 6, so our election workers can get to work tonight. Thank you all for coming. Those of you who are here, and we have a streaming problem that we can't stream live tonight, so we hope to get that fixed later on. If you would, and you're able to stand, please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Council, I know you had a chance to look at tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Lynn. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Presentation, Audit Johnson, Mazzeo, Straub, and Consalvo. Jonathan? Good.
My name is Jonathan Dale. We audited the financial statements for the town of Kitty Hawk this year, and your year end is June 30, 2023. And so you guys have the report in front of you, I assume. And so just briefly, I'll just kind of go through a couple of things. On page 1 is our auditor's report, and here we just kind of state about like what we've done. And we conducted an audit in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles or auditing standards, as well as the government auditing standards. And this long thing basically just talks about our opinion. And our opinion, we gave you guys an unmodified opinion, which is the pretty much cleanest kind of audit opinion you can have. So means we don't believe that anything was materially misstated in order for it to be in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. So that's pretty much all the first 3 pages say. Then it's followed by the management discussion analysis, and that was created by your management team. And then followed by the financial statements, the notes of the financial statements, which give you a little bit more detail. And this year was a little bit different. Not only did you switch auditors, but because you guys spent federal funds as well as state funds over the certain amount, you were required to have both a federal single audit as well as state single audit. So our reports on those are in the back, right around, let's see. So beginning on 61 is our one for what we kind of call a yellow book audit opinion, which I believe you guys had last year. And in that one, we basically state that we didn't find any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls. And then the next ones would be your opinion or our report on your federal programs as well as your state ones. And this is where we kind of talk about those grants. And then we also have reports behind that. And these things are very long, but they pretty much state the same thing, is that, you know, we feel like, based on our audit procedures, that you guys are in compliance with everything. So that's pretty much a summary of the financial statements. We also issued a management letter, as well as a letter on your internal controls. The management letter basically just had standard language, which it basically stated pretty much a lot of the same things that I've already repeated. So, no deficiencies in internal controls that we detected, as well as just a few other things, like whether you guys had new standards and things like that. Now, you guys did start doing leases this year, so that's going to be something new that you'll see in your financials that you haven't seen before. But other than that, and then the spending of some of those state federal grants, things were similar to last year, and some of the highlights include you guys had an unassigned fund balance of $7.2 million, and then after your reserve for your emergency funds of $3.5 million, what you basically have afterwards is your unassigned balance. So June 30, 2023 is about $3.7 million. And with that, there were just a few other highlights. So you had the grants, as I already mentioned, and you also had your interest in investment earnings were up significantly, and that's because your interest rates have increased. Let's see. You guys had a little bit of a decrease in land transfer taxes, but overall, it really was kind of offset by these other items, grants and things like that. Did you guys have any questions regarding this?
Anyone have any questions for Jonathan?
Nope.
I will say that she's sitting here tonight, so I'm trying not to embarrass you, Teresa. You've got some pretty big shoes to fill. I hope you know that. Teresa has done an awesome job for this town for a long time, but welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. And I'm sure if you need her help, she'll be glad to. Anything else for Jonathan? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you very much.
Thank you, we really appreciate
Yeah.
the opportunity to work with you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. Public comment. Laura, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir. We have one lady who has, Diana Mitchell.
Okay. Come on up, Miss Midget. Yeah. Ask you to limit your presentation to 3 minutes and speak directly into the microphone so we can get your comments there.
My name is Diane Midget. I live at 1101 West Kitty Hawk Road. I'd like to get an active conversation going on about dredging some of these canals, creeks, ditches that we have back here. We've noticed a tremendous amount of flooding that's been taking place in the last couple of years, more than what we've had in the past. Where I sit, I'm right beside the creek, so I have a pretty good bird's eye view of the water that comes in during the storms and the flooding. We don't even have to have storms anymore. Wind is flooding us out. The ridge behind my house and all the way down is all, from what I understand, coastal preservation. Not much is getting preserved back there because it's all becoming nothing but swamp. It's becoming underwater, and it's very frightening to see the changes. Now, I understand back in about 16 years ago, that was dredged, but it was only dredged up to Clifton Perry's property. It stopped and then picked back up at Cover Bridge Road. So there's a whole section there that has not been dredged, and that's what's going underwater. If you can see that corner right there, that curve that's in Kitty Hawk Road in Twyford, that stays underwater now, and it used to not be. It used to be all green and pretty. We've had wildlife that's just nested back behind our house for years and years and years. My husband and I have watched this, and it's not there anymore. It's just been washed out. We can't even, the wildlife can't even nest back there anymore. So with the houses that are sitting there, my house is an older house. It was moved off the ocean and brought on Kitty Hawk Road, it's a 1950. Next door to me is 1940. Next door to that is 1910. Across the street is 1937. These are not houses that are vacation rentals or recently built homes. These are homes that used to belong to some of the most prominent people in Kitty Hawk, some of the founders. You know, our guardsman, Samuel Beasley, that's his house next door. My home was, James Henley. He was one of our own deputies here. And my father-in-law, Rex Henley Sr., he was, responsible for getting the ambulance service back here. So these are some homes that's been here for quite some time, and I think that they deserve to be given some attention. And what can we do about getting some of this dredged out? That is my main concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Mitchell.
Thank you.
Willie, we're in public comment, but be ready at the end. I know we've been discussing this very topic. If you could give us a little update at the end of the meeting, please.
And I will. We usually don't comment during the public hearing, but in my section where I'm allowed to speak, I will address some of your concerns.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Very good. Laura, anyone else signed up?
No, sir.
Anyone else that would like to speak at this public comment period about any topic? Anyone? Okay, let the record show no one else chose to speak. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Consent agenda. Council, need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, please.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made by Jeff, second. Second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We had no items removed from the consent agenda. Item 8A, we have a public hearing reference text amendment, section 42-414. Casey, I think you've got this tonight.
I do, Mayor.
Could I get a motion to go into public hearing first?
So moved.
Motion made by David, second.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. We are in public hearing.
And Mayor, just to respond to your question, prior to the meeting, it's not quasi-judicial, so we don't have to worry about swearing in, but of course, the applicant is in the audience, I see, and he can speak if he would like. If you guys have questions of him, the public can speak. But we don't have to go as far as the formalities of swearing folks in. So.
Thank you.
And I'll do my best here. Granted, this is usually Rob's job, but the applicant likes to talk even more than I do, so I'm sure that if y'all have any questions, he'll be able to help you out. I don't get more out of you than that, man. No, I was just making a joke. We got it covered, is my point. The proposal, Mayor, is it's a text amendment, and what it's attempting to do is allow a mini warehouse, that's in quotes because that is the term that is being defined per the application. Mini warehouses are being proposed as special uses in our planned commercial district overlay. Also, there's a set of conditions that the applicant has come up with concerning any proposal related to any form of mini warehouse that ever gets proposed for construction. They would have to meet the conditions which are attached to your package as an exhibit. Rob provided you some background here. Planned commercial developments, we have limited planned commercial developments and overlays here in Kitty Hawk. That exhibit was also attached to the packet there. You'll see the areas in which those commercial overlay districts exist. The purpose of these PCDs are to provide developers with an option by which they can achieve flexibility of design, the integration of mutually compatible uses, and optimum land planning with greater efficiency, convenience, and amenity that may be permitted as of right in other parts of the zoning ordinance. In our town, PCDs can be approved within the BC1, BC2, BC3, and BH1 zoning districts, but only if certain site requirements are met. Again, the areas that are covered, that these overlay districts cover, are attached as exhibits for you guys to see and for your consideration. Some notes: PCDs must be at least 5 contiguous acres in size, with not less than 500 total feet of road frontage on US Highway 158 or NC Highway 12. However, there is an exception that certain portions of a PCD site may be separated by public or private right-of-ways not more than 60 feet in width. So that contiguous nature, if you will, can be split apart if there's a right-of-way of 60 feet or less in width, separating the two tracts of land. Also, we do currently have mini storage facilities as a special use in the VC2 district. The only difference that you would see there is here we're talking about a fully enclosed building where the units, the storage units, have to be accessed by customers from the interior. And there's a picture also attached to your packet which shows precisely what type design, if you will, not holding the applicant to anything, he's just giving you a conceptual model of what one of these mini warehouses would look like. The following policies Rob has found are relevant to this application as stated in our Campbell Land Use Plan. Policy 3.2 is to encourage commercial development at appropriate scales in areas zoned for commercial. And policy number 5A is that Kitty Hawk will continue to adopt, enforce, and amend as necessary ordinances and procedures to regulate and improve community appearance. When this went to the Planning Board on September 14th of 23, the Planning Board recommended approval by a vote of 3-2. Of course, now I'm going to turn this thing over because that's the only thing I have for my presentation unless you guys have any questions of me. But tonight your action could be approval, denial, approval with modifications, or tabling to the extent you so choose. So,
Casey, I've got one question. I've heard some concerns regarding possible office space in some of these units. Do we have anything stating that can or cannot be done?
let me read through.
I didn't see anything.
No, I'm not aware of anything that says, and by office space, what exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about like a concierge type area, where of course you'd register and facilitate customer exchange, or are we talking about space you can come in and rent?
Correct, that's what I'm talking about. That's the concern that I've heard. Just questioning if that was the case, and I'm sure the applicant can address this in just a minute.
Eddie, yeah, come on up, help me
What
out
up,
with
Mr.
this. There is a component in here that says many warehouse storage facilities shall be designed to emulate multifamily or office buildings. But that again doesn't insinuate that that's going to be the use of those buildings either. It's just how they're designed, how from the outside, how they look.
Okay. And the public, I'll be calling on everyone to see if someone else would like to speak during this public hearing period. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes instead of the normal 3. Jeff, did you have a question?
I do. Explain to me tenant identification signs and advertising signs. What are we advertising?
What part is that?
D. I mean, why would people be,
4D under mini warehouse.
I mean, are people going to be able to go in there and shop, or?
No. The only office space would be, there will be someone there from all day, an employee to speak to people and, customers, but it won't be office space in the traditional sense that you're talking about.
Sorry, Eddie, you go ahead. I found something that I think we can hang our hat on
There
that.
it won't be rented office space, it'll be strictly as storage facilities. And I'm trying, what'd you say it was, Jeff?
4D?
4D, it said tenant identification and advertising, meaning that in some way the tenants are going to be advertising.
Page 3, sir.
It says they're prohibited. What's the question? Are they allowed or are they prohibited? This says that they're prohibited.
I think Jeff was asking, what is it that is prohibited? I
Yeah.
guess. Like, what precisely is a tenant identification sign?
Or an advertising sign, what, I mean, that's on the exterior, correct? The signage that we're talking about?
And I wish we had Rob here.
Me too. It says all signs,
I would, given the fact that it doesn't say anything else, I believe it would say it applies to inside and outside.
okay. I'm just, yeah, I just had a little bit of,
I look at it, guys, keep in mind the complex where Fred Smith, that up front, you've got a lot of these folks are leasing warehouses for their rental space, but they're also advertising their business right out front on the road.
Correct.
Those type tenants would not be allowed. This is not what that is designed for.
okay, and that was kind of what I was getting to.
They're not going to be operating a business out of this particular unit. That's not what these storage units are designed to do. And even if they are, even if there's some form of business, if you will, that would be allowed under our code, they can't advertise for it, I think is the key to this. And yes, I would say that it's namely on the exterior, something visible from the road. I think that's the signage that this condition is attempting to get at and prohibit.
That cleared up for you, Jeff.
Kind of.
In other words, if you're driving down the road, are you gonna know where or is there gonna be any indication of who is occupying and using these storage units?
No, you will only see the name of the business itself,
Advertising his business.
So it will only be,
one sign, for lack of a better explanation.
so it's like anonymous. Once you're there,
Unidentified. Let's call it
Unidentified,
that. Well, and there are, certain types of businesses that folks they call it their office space because they're able to, in whatever profession or contracting service they provide, they're able to store materials at ample storage. I know I've got several contractor clients but they can't advertise. You would not know by driving past ample storage that such and such contractor leases space within there. And I think it's intending to keep it there. A lot of times warehouses, like again, that example there in the village where, yes, we do have these big signs saying Fred Smith and Albemarle
Correct.
Landscaping and all those type. That's allowed though. They can put their signs out front. It's okay to know that those businesses are there pursuant to our code. But here, you can't do that. No tenant's gonna be able to come in, rent, and then request advertising that they lease space from this area.
Okay. Now, most people are thinking like a mini warehouse going in storing furniture. Okay. Let's just go ahead and say this is just a metal warehouse, for instance. And what would stop several construction workers from actually meeting their crews and running out of this building? Not saying that that's what he's proposing, because, we haven't even gone that far, but say that all of a sudden they change their mind from the plan we see and just go to I'm going to use the Fred Smith building. Is that kind of considered a mini storage? I mean, it's at one time, that's what it kind of was. And then it was converted over to several different businesses.
And wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, and this is going to be a time where it would be good to have Rob, I believe the majority of that ended up coming to be through some form of conditional use permit or something such as that, something of that nature. It's not something permitted by right, for example. And do remember that any plans that come forward, given this is a special use, it's going to have to be approved. There's been conditions proposed, but it's not gonna be administratively approved. It's coming back to council for review, for comment, for things such as that, for hearing, as a matter of fact. Each individual plan, which is why I wanted to point out that the example there of that particular mini warehouse, the conceptual design, we're not approving that. We're not approving an actual specific site plan tonight. This is just creating the ability for someone to submit a site plan for something such as a mini warehouse. But under no circumstance, though, I think that this is written in such a way that we're not going to be dealing with a Fred Smith type scenario where it evolved over time. But even to the extent that evolved, it did it through its own special use, or used to be called conditional use, but its own conditional use permit. So I think with those factors in play here, that's something that gives you, council, flexibility in the future to say, well, there shall be none of this, and there shall be none of this, and you shall be in violation of your permit if these type acts are committed on the property. So I think you've got flexibility. And the intent of the ordinance, what I was going to point out, certainly about office space, is that one thing preventing it from being just one big metal warehouse is that the definition itself says it must contain multiple storage units or rooms, which means we're not just going to have one business operating out of there in this great big open space. The other aspect of that is from the office room standpoint, the definition only speaks to containing storage units or rooms. It doesn't make reference to business offices, administrative offices. But obviously, yes, as part of the site plan, you'd have to approve some space for the concierge, if you will, the customer service representative to check people in, check people out, and do things of that nature. But not where a medical office could just go in and start renting, not where just a business off the street could go in and start renting space to see patrons, for example, to have clients visit. That's not the intent as I'm reading this particular definition. And I think y'all's flexibility in the future, as each individual site plan comes up, you'd be able to eradicate anything like that if that's not what you wanted.
Council, any questions for Casey? We really haven't given Mr. Goodrich his 5 minutes to speak yet. We've taken up his time.
I don't even know if that applies to applicants either, to be honest.
The town will have total control
There you
Go
go.
ahead, keep talking.
okay, I'm sorry.
You don't have it. You
It
don't have
doesn't
the
apply
time.
to
now.
applicants, just for the record. So, yeah, y'all can keep him as long as y'all want.
Yeah.
The town will have total control over what is built and how it's operated. And I'm sure all these facilities, the purpose of them is to replace the old generation of storage units with roll-up doors, air conditioned, unheated, and it's a new generation of storage facilities for people. People now moving into smaller houses, and there are things they just don't want to throw away, that they want to leave for their grandchildren, so they put them in a warehouse. People get to the point that they have to live in a nursing home, like Spring Arbor. They don't want, you can't say, and so I don't know why people keep things like that, and I've got some myself, but people do. They're places to store things. It's not to operate any businesses. The lease will prohibit exactly what Casey's talking about. In other words, they'll say, this is for storage facility and you can't operate a business out of this. The only people that are operating a business would be the people that work for the owners of the business. It'll be a state-of-the-art facility, and the architectural control, the town will have that. It'll be a special use permit. It'll only be about 1.5 acres in size, and a planned commercial development will be at least 5 acres, 5 or more. So what you're going to see is things like convenience stores, retail space, a facility of this type, and multifamily for year-round and things like that. It's only a part of what a planned commercial development will be. I think it's a low traffic flow, shouldn't be any problem for the fire department or police department. They have a state-of-the-art security system. I don't see needs to be in a perfect place. And of course, Kitty Hawk now is the center of the beach. Used not to be, but now it's 20 miles up to Rollins, 20 miles down to South Max Head. They've been very successful in other areas, and I think it will be here as well. And I think it'll be, I'll do my best to make sure it's operated in the way that it's supposed to be.
Council, any questions, Mr. Goodrich?
What's the plan with the multifamily, future affordable or not affordable year-round housing? Is there an immediate plan for that now, or is that,
They will, yes, they will,
when is that?
at the same time.
Okay. That's all I have.
So that's year-round?
Ma'am?
Year-round housing?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I have a-
And people won't just be leaving utility trailers in the parking lots and that sort of thing?
No,
That is a condition on here.
Okay.
Yeah, that is built in as well, that there's no storing of equipment or vehicles or any trailers, for example, in the outdoor
Well, I saw
area.
motorhomes, but I wanted to be sure that utility trailers would not just be left out there.
Yeah, I think that would count in equipment. Keeping, storing, or parking any type of motor vehicle or equipment outdoors is prohibited.
So what is the recourse if he does do that? What is the penalty for
So
that?
then the site, the permit itself, or the site is in violation of its permit, which gives us the right to go and enforce that permit, hold them in violation, cite them with daily penalties and fines, require fixing the situation.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions from Mr. Goodrich?
I just want to clarify something with Councilman Sharp. So I think what she's asking is if you go over the bridge, right, and you see the old area of storage which these guys used to own, you had boats, RVs, things that they would rent a space in the parking lot to keep over there. Just to clarify her comment, that's what she's not wanting to see.
Right.
That will not be the case,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And this isn't in lieu of the housing? You came to us sometime back and
This
got,
will include housing as well.
okay,
This only requires 1.5 acres,
okay, got
and
you.
there's just over 5 or 6 acres.
Okay.
Any more questions, council, from Mr. Goodrich?
Actually, I have one more. So when depending on how this goes, right, they still have to go through the planning board for submittal of site plans.
Correct.
And everything else. So that gets triggered back over, and then you really get to comment on what we want to see.
There's a conceptual plan, we actually have to start all over, because there's a conceptual plan for the planned commercial development, but they can all be done at the same time. But there has to be a conceptual plan as well, and the conceptual plan will of course lay out everything as proposed.
All right. Any more questions, Dave?
Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Does anyone here tonight would like to speak at this public hearing? 5 minutes to speak. Anyone at all? All right, Laura, let the record show no one else chose to speak during this public hearing period. Council, I need a motion to go back into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Made by David, second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, council. What would you like to do? Any conversation, comments?
I have a comment. I wish Rob was here. I'd really like to see some of the conditions cleaned up just a little bit. There's just a few things that I'm kind of still stuck on. I wish Rob was here to answer for me.
Yeah, we can table to the next meeting.
Jeff, I was going to say, you do have obviously the ability to make a motion to table for consideration.
And I don't like doing it. That's one of the things I really don't like, Eddie. I'd rather handle it right here, but without the planner, I'm kind of stuck in between the rock, and you are too. I'm sorry, that he's not here, so we can clear this up. And I would like to defer it if it's not a huge, it would help us to clear this up. If it,
I understand. Would you like to make that into a motion, Jeff?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to defer this until the meeting,
December
the December 5th meeting.
Thank you. Have a second?
2nd.
Second by Charlotte. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This text amendment is continued until the December meeting. Thank you, council. Thank you, sir.
December 5th, is that right? 4th.
We have no new business. Melody?
Well, good evening, everyone, and you may notice that we have a different person sitting in the rear corner tonight. This is our first town council meeting without Lynn Morris. Lynn served the town for 36.85 years, and Friday was her last day. We value her knowledge and contributions throughout the years, and wish her all the best in this new chapter. Also want to thank Administrative Services Director Laura Walker, who will be filling in as we recruit for our next town council, and we all appreciate your kindness and patience as we move through this process. I'm happy to report that at their meeting today, Dare County Commissioners gave their final stamp of approval to the Tourism Board recommendations for the Tourism Impact Grants. The town of Kitty Hawk had one. At the beginning of the year, the town will receive grant funds to be used for a portion of the planned multi-use path that will go from Cypress Knee to GJ. Special thanks to Councilman David Hines and Willie Midget for all of their parts in getting this grant approved, and we're really excited about it. Also want to thank Liliana Noble there's an incredible amount of work that goes into this audit, that she has to supply information to the auditor. So again, Liliana, I appreciate your hard work. The town had their first ever community trick-or-treat, and I believe it was a success. We had all departments represented, and I think all the community members who came out. It was fun, and we look forward to doing it again next year with a whole new crop of ideas. Beach Medical, as we speak, is moving into their new space located at the south end of 5200 North Croatan Highway. As far as I know, which I believe is a lofty goal, she's planning on opening tomorrow. So we wish her the best. And then you may have noticed the green lights all around the town facilities. The town is joining Dare County government and participating in Operation Greenlight. It is a National Association of Counties initiative that encourages residents and businesses to show their support to local veterans by shining green lights throughout their communities to let local veterans know that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. So all town buildings have green lights illuminating them. And again, thanks to Willie for making that happen. And lastly, Veterans Day is coming up, and town offices and the recycle center will be closed on Monday, November 13th, in honor of Veterans Day. And due to the county's observation of Veterans Day, we will have residential trash collection on Wednesday this week, and then commercial trash collection will be on Thursday of this week. That's all I have.
Thank you, Melody. Great job. Thank you. Casey?
I walked in, speaking to Miss Lynn, I walked into Walgreens this morning. She was the first person I saw, but before she could let me go, she reminded me that the meeting tonight was at 5, even though she wasn't going to be here. So she's still doing her job, man, even though she's not working for us anymore. So, but no, I've got nothing other than that. I thought that was a good story.
That was good. Thank you, Casey. Town Council, David.
I have a whole lot. I just want to follow up a little bit more on what Melody was speaking about. I think it's important for whether we do a little bit more outreach, or people are welcome to call me. But But the tourism board, whenever there's a grant application submitted, we review all of them, but it's nice to hear from the residents that the town is requesting money for. I think it's important to hear from you folks if you like what we're getting ready to grant money towards. So that's, just want everybody to be aware, it's a pretty big thing. There's a lot of money awarded every year for a lot of good things. So whether I can help you pay attention or we can do more with our website or something, I would like to see that done. That's it.
Thank you, David. Lynn?
I have nothing. It is November. Thanksgiving's our next holiday after Veterans Day. And Santa Claus will be coming to town soon, so hope he doesn't expect us to have snow for him, as I truly would like to disappoint him.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Jeff?
Yeah, well, we do miss Lynn, that's for sure. She gave us an awful lot of her heart, and her knowledge is going to surely be missed. Also, I'd like to thank the Dare County Commissioners as well as the Tourism Board for the grant. Thank David and Willie for submitting and presenting it to the board. I'd like to thank Liliana also for keeping us out of trouble with our budgeting. We don't want to get there. Also, remind everybody to vote tomorrow. And I'm also going to try to address Ms. Midget's concerns. I also live on a canal, and Willie has worked hard with what money that the Kitty Hawk has been able to acquire through hurricane grants that we've had, or we've been able to drag and try to get debris out of the canals. But as far as sticking a bucket and digging them now with the environmental issues is almost a lost cause. The reason it was able to be done where you were talking about is because the county owned the land where the spill, the dredge material was put. That's the problem. You can pump them out. It's just, what are you going to do with the soil once you get it out? That's the reason that only a small amount of that section was able to do, because the size of that property only permitted a certain amount of spoiling. Even they overflowed it and it spilled out into the marsh. But if we could get a hold of any money that we could to dredge, we need it bad. Our marshes are, I'm like you, I've never seen them look so bad, and I was born and raised here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's the problem or if it's the water table coming up or us sinking. But helping to keep the canals cleared out and dredged out, if there's any way that this group, I think, could Willie, I don't know if they ever offer any money anymore for dredging like they did with that project, but if they do, reach out, because we do need it. It does. It won't help us from flooding, but it sure does get the water out of here faster, and that's the key to it. You dig them out, the water comes faster, but when it goes out fast and takes a lot of mud with it. So that's where we are. We have tried to keep them as clean as we can, and we've done that several. I think we just did it this year, didn't we, Willie? We had some extra money and spent some more time on the canal that you're speaking about. We've spent the most time on that because that is our major canal. The most water does flow through there. So Hurricane Irene, it pushed all the mud to where they stopped. It did. It pushed it right where it stopped, and then it pushed it up and blew it in your yard and clogged up that whole section. I agree. If they can get some way to dredge that small section, it'd be great. Maybe that's something with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree. It was a lot deeper until they dredged it, and then the fluff mud that was left after the dredge, then Irene come along and it actually blew all up into Mr. Clifton's basin where it made it almost useless. So.
Willie, do you have anything to add here?
No, sir, not at this time. I will talk to some of the agencies to see if there's anything about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Will. Is that it, Jeff? Okay, Charlotte?
Yes, we had another very robust Recreation Committee meeting this last month, and we have been working on a multi-use path around the town hall and exploring that. We have we're trying to find a date that we can actually walk the property and see what the opportunities are there. And so that's one of our projects. The state we were concerned about the state on Kitty Hawk Road not clearing the vegetation on the side of the road, making it very difficult for bicyclists and so forth to know exactly where the road was. And they, according to my latest update, they have agreed to come over and take the dirt off the side of the road so that we can see it. We also sent out a recreation survey, and we got 73% response about what people wanted to see here in Kitty Hawk. And we're in the process of compiling all of that information and getting that ready. Jim Gould came here a couple of meetings ago, I guess it was, with the bicycle safety, pedestrian safety committee, and he came to our meeting and spoke to us, and so we're very united in those efforts as well. So I want you to know that my husband is a Vietnam veteran, and he just makes him so happy to see those green lights. And we decorated our house very proudly. So anyway, that's about all I have.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for your work on the Recreation Committee, too.
Thank you.
Let it get a little colder, and I'll take that walk with you.
Well, it'll be advertised because we'll,
This past weekend, there was a snake in my yard, so let it get a little colder.
yeah, I agree.
And I'll go with you.
Okay,
All
good.
right. All right. Thanksgiving is coming up, and this town has a whole lot to be thankful for. Our people who live here, our businesses, our people who are trying to build new businesses, new homes in the town, we certainly appreciate what you're doing. Again, Lynn Morris, you're going to be greatly missed, my friend. Jeff touched on it. Tomorrow is Election Day. This council will be affected by the election tomorrow. Not maybe, it will be affected by the election tomorrow. Everyone needs to turn out to vote, but I'm especially asking those in Kitty Hawk, turn out to vote. If not, you don't have the right to complain. You can still complain, I know. I got one this morning. But turn out to vote, please. It's your right, and it's the right thing to do, so turn out to vote. Anything else?
I'm going to add something to your comment.
Yes, sir.
At the close of early voting on Saturday, there was only 118 people in the town of Kitty Hawk who voted.
Yeah.
So,
That's because they have to go all the way to Kill Devil Hills to do that.
well, I hope so. So I think it's one of the most patriotic things that we have.
It
So
is. It is.
I hope everybody turns out.
All right, anything else, council? Good meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Made David, seconded by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.